There is another way to make money online that no one is talking about. When I tell you I'm about to show you the best remote job anyone can do at night, in the day, or whenever, from the comfort of your own home, I am not kidding. And this is why. You work really, maybe, are we gonna say one day a month?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, if I wanted to keep my business where it's at right now, I just need to work that one day a month.
With this model that you have right now, how much are you making per month?
Just under $95,000 bucks.
$95,000 a month.
Correct.
That's insane. That's amazing. Congratulations.
That's in maybe 19 months. 19 months.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing stuff. And the best part is you can do it too. I remember when I saw these bloggers making $100,000 a month and I only needed $2,000 a month. I said, if I can just get a fraction of what they earn, I'd be okay. And it happened. I followed their same business model. It took me a year, but the very next year, I made over $200,000. So in today's video, I wanted to learn from Andy and understand what he does and see if this is something that you can do. Because I asked him, is this something that anyone can do? And he said yes. They just have to have a will to want to do it. This is a business that can change your life. You guys ready to get into it? Let's go. Hey, Andy, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm excited to be here, Whitney.
All right, so can we first start off with telling us a little bit about yourself and like your journey with this whole high-level white label agency? Like, how did that even come to pass?
Yeah, the way that it came to pass. So number one, about 10 years ago, I started a cell phone dealership. I'm the youngest T-Mobile franchise ever. At 19 years old, I started my franchise with T-Mobile. We ended up growing to 4 locations. I made my first million 2 years later when I was 21 years old. And then I took that money and what's that?
Doing this, the T-Mobile dealership?
T-Mobile cell phones, yes.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And I come from an impoverished area on the East Coast, which is the smallest state in the country, Rhode Island. So it's and the city that I was in, it was 1 square mile. So I'm around people who are just not nice, drug dealers, gangbangers alike. And I own 4 locations. I own 1 in Massachusetts and 3 in Rhode Island. And at the time, what happened is in December, it snows there, and it was snowing heavily. There was a blizzard, and in that blizzard, I remember there was one day that I said, you know what, to my team, I said, you don't have to go into work. There's no one that's gonna come out. The snow is up to your waistline. There's no one that's gonna come out and buy a cell phone in the middle of this blizzard. So I texted my team. I said, you don't have to go to work. T-Mobile comes in and they tell me, why isn't your store open? Right? They sent someone to drive by and they said, why isn't your store open? I said, it's a blizzard. And I came to realize I was essentially, I owned my own business, but I was under someone else's, and I had to essentially follow by their rules. And that's when I said, I'm going to go ahead and create freedom for myself. And I took the money that I made and I went to the West Coast, lived in California for some time. And I understood the way to create financial freedom by being around people who are very successful. The way to create financial freedom was having monthly recurring revenue. So I set on a path to identify what is the new technology, the new process of creating monthly recurring revenue. And that's when I fell into high level.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay. So then, all right. So now you're on the West Coast. You found out about high level. Now, what are you doing with high level, and what is high level?
So high level is a platform. It's a CRM platform. So when we look at small businesses need a central tool to be able to communicate with their customers. I'm sure you've ever experienced this before, or the listeners have ever experienced something like this before, where when they call in, let's say that they call in their doctor's office, or they call in their local hair salon, or they call in their cell phone carrier, and that representative on the phone says, hey, your last visit was 6 months ago, and how is your cat doing, by the way? And you're like, how do you know about my cat? Or how do you know about my kids? Or how do you know about my pet? Things of that nature. What they're using is a centralized software to keep track of all of their customers. So that software that keeps track of their customers' email, phone number, their name, their address, all those details, that's called a CRM, a customer relationship management software. And in the CRM, small businesses need it because they can't remember off the top of their head. They need a software, they need a tool. So high level is a tool, it's a CRM that allows people like myself, you and I, to resell the platform and sell it as our own. So my version is called Progretta. And other people, there are thousands of other people who are utilizing the tool for their business, but also they're reselling it to other small businesses and creating monthly recurring revenue utilizing that tool.
Okay, so you have your own now. It's called Progretta, and it's a CRM system. So you will go into like a dentist or something like that and say, "This is a great system that can help you like streamline your business." Is that so? That's how it works for like the white labeling, right?
That's exactly how it works.
Okay,
I
so
take
go ahead.
I take Go High Level, and there's a place in the platform where it says change the name, and instead of Go High Level, you could put it as Andy CRM. You could put it whatever name that you wanted to create. I just chose mine to be Progretta. Now people ask me, what does Progretta stand for? I took the two words together, progress daily. I took those two words together and I mashed them together. I dropped the SS in progress, so that's Progretta. And then the daily, I just dropped the ILY at the end, and I put Progretta. And the idea behind the software is, hey, as a business owner, your goal, your job is to just progress a little bit every single day towards your goals, and that's what Progretta stands for, progress daily.
I love that. Okay, now how do you make money with a software like this? Like, okay, so now you have your own name with it, but how do you actually make money with it?
So the way that we make money with it is that number one is I get a Go High Level subscription. Now, a Go High Level subscription, it costs $500 a month. Now, let me share with you. This is $500 a month to essentially be able to resell it and start this business. When I started in my cell phone store, it costs tens of thousands to start a dealership. Anyone can do it, but it costs tens of thousands. I remember I would open up a location and I would have to pay for flooring to the floor to be built because there's a certain color that the floor has to be. The walls have to be a certain color. The ceiling, the lights in the ceiling, it can't just be any old lights. There's specific track lights to showcase the phones and how beautiful they are, right? So there's these different terms, and if you notice, every time you walk into a T-Mobile store or AT&T store, they all look very similar, within the brand, and it looks as if they're corporate. The
Right.
thing is, it's all franchise dealers. Their sales channel is all franchise dealers. Actually, T-Mobile or other brands like T-Mobile, such as AT&T, Verizon, they may only have one actual store per state. So in Rhode Island, there was only one store that was actually T-Mobile, and it was like in the capital. There was like one store. Every other store is essentially a mom and pop who's running their brand, their store within the brand guidelines. So when you walk in, there's people with shirts, there's color, there's the specific colors, there's specific designs. Well, that's because T-Mobile ships it out to you and say, hey, you need to have this on your window. Hey, you need to have this specific paint color on the wall. You need to have this, so that way all the stores look alike. So that is where it would cost tens of thousands of dollars to open up that business. With High Level, you pay $500 a month. That's it. And with that $500 a month, you can create unlimited, what they call sub accounts, which is an account of the CRM. And you can create unlimited accounts, and then you can actually sell access to each account. So for example, in my business, I sell the accounts between $399 and $749 a month. So I pay one flat monthly rate of $500, and I could have 1,000 people paying me $750 and make 750 grand a month, just like that, utilizing this tool.
Oh, that's incredible. How much were you selling your services for like the local businesses around? So you're paying $500 a month already, so that's an expense. But how much are you reselling, and how many people did you have in your actual CRM system?
How many people today, or when I started?
When you started.
When I started, I had 0 people. No one was utilizing. Actually, the first couple of months was me getting really understanding the tool itself. But the idea that I had to conceptualize was, why am I doing this? Because it's a complex tool. The software is a complex tool because there's websites in there, there's text messages, there's phone calls, there's what else is there? There's pipelines, there's conversations, there's Instagram connections, there's a social media planner where you can upload your content and automatically schedule it for social media in the future. Like, there's so many tools in that platform. So first, I had to get an understanding of it. And then I realized, like, every week there's something new in the platform. So with that being said, I had to just focus on like one core feature, and I'll figure the rest out later. So I focused on something that I bound to be valuable, and I said, hey, I'll figure the rest out later. And every single week there's new features that I don't personally put attention on. I just focus on what has been selling and what has worked for us, because my focus is not being the one with the latest tool, the latest gadget, or the latest AI thing. My focus is on adding value to my customers, and just with the base software is more than enough to get them value in organizing their business.
So what is it specifically that you promote?
So we promote a system called chat automation. Chat automation, maybe you've seen it on social media or even flyers. When people say, text this word to this phone number to get X, whatever that X is, that's what our software does to get automatically deliver it. So for example, a restaurant could use chat automation to say, hey, text the word dessert to this phone number to get a dessert coupon. So they'll use our software for that. Now, granted, our software high level technically could build out websites, could build out funnels, could build out email campaigns, but we don't put attention on that. We just try to keep it simple. A gym will use text the word trial to get a 7-day pass. So patrons will walk by the gym and say, okay, I'll text the word trial to try out the gym. And they text it, but they actually text in our version of the software. The software responds and says, what's your name, what's your email, what's your phone number, captures all that information, puts it into that business's CRM, and then the business automatically responds through our software with access to that trial. And then they're automatically getting new customers without actually ever having to talk to them. It's all automated with our software. So gyms use our software, coaches use our software, restaurants, lawyers, industries galore use our tool.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, so now you said you were making $0 in the beginning. Now, when did you start making money?
I started making money so I was already running a marketing agency. And in running the marketing agency, we were doing done-for-you services for our customers. So some of the done-for-you services that we were doing for our customers, we would do website design, Facebook ads, things of that nature. So I was making revenue that way. However, that was what I would say the heavy work. And what I mean by the heavy work is that if I sold a customer on Facebook ads, that means I have to sit down to understand that specific customer's business. Mm-hmm. In my head, I had to formulate a strategy for that specific customer, that one specific customer. And then from there, I had to create the graphics myself or someone on my team. And then from there, I had to deploy the campaign. So there was a lot of custom work in that world. So that puts me in a space where I was limited to actually how many customers I can have. So if I would sell 2 customers that we were running Facebook ads for in a week, man, I would be exhausted through fulfilling all those customers, like their campaigns and thinking and strategizing. So I would have this decision fatigue or mental fatigue. Now, what created freedom for me financially was when I had something that was completely all automated. So that means like a few weeks ago, my wife and I were on a honeymoon in Hawaii. And while I'm there, we're creating sales on our software. And everyone goes through the same journey. They have to upload their phone number, upload the contacts, things of that nature. The whole journey is the same for every person. So I set it up one time and I can sell unlimited accounts. So I was always making money. I've been making money since, I was 19 years old. However, I didn't start creating freedom until I started creating recurring revenue on a product that was completely all automated.
Yeah, so now this is what I really want to hear. So how did you go about that? So now you say, okay, I have this agency. This is kind of too much for me. I want to buy my freedom. So how did you do that with selling high level? Is that how we say it? Is that how you say it?
You could say selling high level.
Or referring it, or how does it, I'm not really sure. How does it all work?
So the first step is I create a web page. I set up my account. So it's very simple. You put in your name of your software. You just choose a name today. You could just ask ChatGPT to give me 100 different versions, and then it'll give you one, and then you just choose the top one you like. That's the name of your software. And no one cares. I realize no one cares about the name of the software. Like my software name is one that it's a word that doesn't exist. It's just a made up word. But people all over the world are saying Progretta. Log into Progretta. No one says log into high level. They say log into Progretta in our community. So you set up your account and then you enter your Stripe information. Stripe is where you get paid. It's the platform that you get paid. So I connect the Stripe account and I create a web page. So the step 1 is to get a high level account. So to get a high level account, you can go to SaaS launch.com/GHL. So go SaaS launch.com/GHL. So you go create an account, you put in all your details, your address, your your name of your software, your email, so on and so forth. Then you connect your Stripe account so that way you can get paid. And the last piece is that you create a web page for people to buy. That's the first step. Then I would tell people like, hey, I'll go on Facebook and I would just say, hey, I have a software that I launched that will help you organize your contacts, organize your customer base, and help you get new customers. If that's interesting to you, you can try our software at whatever the website is. And then people will go there and they'll say, I don't know if this is going to work. And then all our objective is just to get them to try it. That's why you see so many softwares do a trial where for like 14 days, they try it. And when they try it, what happens, I'm thinking back to like terms that isn't relevant, but it's like crack. It's like you just try, like the local drug dealer is going to say, hey, here's a piece of rock. Just try it. Let me know what you think. And that person tries it and then they get hooked and then they keep coming back and they become a long-term customer. So the same idea with software. You give them a trial and then they love it because it's organizing their business. For the first time, they have a website. For the first time, they're clear on their direction. And businesses love it and they need that. So instead of telling them, hey, go to Google and go find the software, you can actually just say, come to me and I'll sell you the software.
Right. Now, and you do this by webinars? Is that how you kind of do it?
So the first way to get started is you could do like a one-on-one presentation where you present one-on-one. But the challenge with one-on-one is you're limited to how many people you could present to.
Yeah.
So when I started in selling, I would sell one-on-one. And I remember these scenarios of years ago when I would sell one-on-one, I would have 9 appointments scheduled on my calendar a day. 9 one-on-ones appointments scheduled on my calendar. And I remember at that time this time I was dating my now wife, and I was thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to be a good husband if I'm on these calls 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and after the calls, I have to do like these follow-up steps, after the call. So I had to figure out a different model, something that worked for us. So my background, Whitney, was in between the cell phone. When I left the cell phone industry, I wanted to figure out how the successful speakers are speaking. So I started doing sales for some of the top motivational speakers, such as Les Brown. I would travel across the country with Les Brown. I was part of Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con in his initial one in 2017 at the first one. So I'm packing in these rooms for these top tier motivational speakers. I've done events with, for example, like Laura Langmeyer from the movie The Secret. And I'm packing these events. I've had Zig Ziglar's son, Zig Ziglar with Tom Ziglar, speak at my events, and a bunch of celebrities that I can name off over time. But I've had these people speak on my stage, and I'm like, okay, the way that they make money is that they speak in large groups.
Yeah.
And now, so I was doing these one-on-one calls, and I'm trying to be the best husband, or in the future, I'm trying to have my time freedom back. And I remember during the pandemic, I said, why don't I just do what I did in person, just do it online? And instead of bringing them to the location, be a hotel room as a conference room, why don't I just give them the location as a Zoom room? And I did my first one, I think it was like 20 or 30 people, and I got 0 sales. It was the worst presentation I've ever done. But I got in a suit. I was more focused on how I looked than the actual presentation itself. I got in a suit, I got my hair cut, man. I was fresh to death, I tell you. And I get on the Zoom call, and there's a bunch of people looking at me, and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have a presentation. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, hey guys, welcome. And I forgot to do the presentation. It wasn't until a few minutes before, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? So I won the whole thing. The next time I did it, I committed to the strategy and I set up a presentation. I got as many people as I could there. And then I started making sales. And what I realized is instead of having one call, because if you do the math, if I have 9 calls, 9 30-minute calls back to back for 5 days straight, so nine calls for 5 days straight, that's a total of 45 calls in that week. Why can't I just put all 45 people, I'm selling them the same thing, put all 45 of those people in the same Zoom room and just present, and I just ask, who wants it? And that became my strategy. I just put them all into a Zoom room, and I said, who wants it? And it went from doing 9 calls a day to just 1 call a month. one call a month. And now all I do is one call a month, and I put as many people, I'll put 100, 150, 200 people in that one call, and I just present what my solution is, and I give them all an opportunity to buy. Some people are going to say, not now. Some people are going to say, not interested. Some people are going to say, that's not me. I don't need that. But that would have been the same journey if I did a one-on-one call with them.
Exactly.
I would have said the same thing. But some people also say, that's exactly what I've been looking for. That's what I need. And then they make the decision to buy. So instead of me spending 45 hours grinding every week, I just put all my attention on this one great presentation and put as many people on there. And I just say, hey, it's not a hard sell. Who here wants what I just presented to you? And then they all can make a decision whether they're going to move forward, yes or no. But the value for me is I get to just do my presentation and walk away.
So you work really, maybe, are we going to say one day a month?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, if I wanted to keep my business where it's at right now, I just need to work that one day a month. It's about 3 hours. Now, I'm building a $100 million software company, so I work a little bit more than that because I have a big vision. However, if I want to just stay comfortable and just stay where we're at, then I could just work one day a month and just hang out.
Now, with this model that you have right now, how much are you making per month?
Just under $95,000.
$95,000 a month.
Correct.
That's insane. That's amazing. Congratulations.
That's in maybe 19 months. 19 months.
So that's why I'm like, and that's my question. Is this, because you are one of those people that are just like a go-getter. Is this something that anyone that you think could do? Or is there a certain skill level you should have? What's the barrier to entry for something like this, doing what you do?
It's decisiveness, making a decision. Because the biggest challenge that I see is that or many of us can have the shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
Shiny object syndrome is when it's like, oh, that's a cool thing. That's a cool thing. Not recognizing that every single new thing has what I call a commitment period. And a commitment period is the time that you start to the time that you hit your initial point of success. And for some, it could be 2 months where it's just tough. It's a struggle. Or it could be 6 months. Or it could even be 1 year. But what happens is most people hit that commitment period and they keep pivoting. The thing is, when you pivot, you're going to experience that commitment period again. Yeah. I remember I did a webinar, and there was someone who came to the webinar and said, Andy, I've been in business for 30 years. What the hell can you teach me? And I tried to understand, what is your business? And they're hopping in from, well, I do notary public. I do notary. I'm also a hairdresser. I also do taxes. I also do set up LLCs. I also do credit repair. And they go from hustle to hustle to hustle, right? So they have I'm also a real estate agent, right? So they have all of these hustles here. And when we actually dive deep, it's like you try a business. It doesn't work for the first couple of months. So you hop onto something else. So you hear someone on YouTube say, this is cool, this is hot. Or you hear someone on a podcast say, this is cool, this is hot. Or you hear your friends say, this is cool, this is hot. So you hop from one thing to the other. You're always going to be stuck in the commitment period. So just to recap, when you start something new, there's this commitment period before initial success. That commitment period is the trials, the tribulations, the understanding, identifying processes, identifying systems, identifying your unique proposition. You're figuring things out during this commitment period. What happened during my commitment period is I stayed in the game.
Yeah.
I stayed in the game. I remember a few years ago, I remember this like yesterday. So I was driving. So I started in high level. I didn't do anything with it. I wasn't committed to it. That was the first thing. I wasn't committed to building monthly recurring revenue because I was comfortable with getting high ticket sales. I was comfortable with doing high ticket done for you services, right? But I knew there was no freedom because every time I got a new customer, I was involved in some heavy build out that required my mental attention. Today, if 100 people go ahead and buy my software, I'm not even involved in anything of it, right? If I create some ads around that city and 100 people come and buy my software today, I'm not involved with anything. But when I was involved with the high ticket services, every single person I was involved with. Now, I remember a few years ago, I said, okay, I'm interested. I'm not committed. I'm interested in creating monthly recurring revenue and having the freedom that other people say. And I remember like I tried my first presentation and it was terrible. Okay. Because I didn't know how to communicate it.
Right.
I was in the commitment period. And I remember leaving my house one day. And this is one of those nights that for me, I'll get in my car and I'll just drive around the city with no destination. I'll just listen to podcasts like this that we're on. And I listened to a podcast about helping local businesses. And I remember driving down, I live in Las Vegas, and I just it was taking left, taking right, going straight with no destination. I'll be home. Told my wife I'll be home back in an hour and a half, maybe two. Like I just need to clear my head. I drove by an insurance brokerage company, and this was a big insurance brokerage. And I said, and their name is everywhere in the city of Las Vegas. So they own a specific insurance company. Their name is plastered all over the city. If you come here and you see this insurance company, you're going to see their name synonymous with it. They got billboards, the whole 9 yards. And I remember saying to myself, I wish that person could be my customer on our software. I have no clue how I'm going to get them to work with them. And it dawned on me yesterday that it worked, because that was maybe less than 2 years ago. Last week, that insurance company owner was in my office and we were talking about how we're going to set up the account for them. The challenges that they have with their marketing, their challenges that they have with their callers who are setting up calls, their scripts, so on and so forth. And I was like, whoa, I just realized I was in a rut almost 2 years ago. And this person now is in my office, talking about, can I be your customer, please? I share that with you is because that time that I was driving around and I was in that mental rut, that was my commitment period. That was, do you want to do this? And I would go to YouTube and I would see this ad to become this person, or this ad to try this strategy, this YouTube video, this podcast to try this thing. And that was probably my most vulnerable position, to try to pivot and start something fresh when I wasn't getting customers, when it was tough, things of that nature. And then I realized, stay in the game.
Yeah.
The reason why people who are successful, and you see them creating success over time and time again in different businesses. I left the cell phone industry, started a marketing agency, did very well in that. I left the marketing agency, started a software company, did very well in all of them. The reason why you see that those people becoming successful time and time again is because in that commitment period, they believe they will break through. The person who's never experienced success, during the commitment period, they try to pivot into something else. And then next thing you know, 10 years later, they've been pivoting into real estate, hairdresser, tax owner, so on and so forth. Yeah. They never stay in the game long enough to create success.
Yeah, I love that. Like that's what I say. I'm like, my commitment period is until it works. Like I don't give a timeline. It's just like, I know this can work. I'm going to follow this process. I'm going to trust the process, not the progress. You can't trust the progress because sometimes it takes long. But the process is what you just trust, and you stick with it until it works. No, so I love this so much. So, okay. So if someone wanted to learn from you, like, okay, they're like, okay, this sounds amazing. How do you do these webinars? Like, how would I learn from you on how could I create a webinar like you and know what to put into this thing and know how to sell it, know how to get people into my webinar? Do you teach this at all? Or is it something that like people could learn from you?
I do teach this. And the reason I teach this is because I found this to be a way that created freedom for me. Like I just shared with you, a couple of weeks ago, I was on a honeymoon with my wife, and we're in Hawaii, and we're chilling, drinking, what do you call it? Pina coladas. Like we're like drinking pineapple pina coladas. We're on the beach. We're trying out different things. We're parasailing. We're snorkeling with turtles, the whole 9 yards. And this is something that was funny. I watched a presentation that my wife did 3 years ago, or maybe like 2 years ago. And in this presentation, she said, in the presentation, she was presenting our marketing agency, and she said, my goal is to be on the beach sipping pina coladas. And I just happened to see the recording recently.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, babe, I didn't realize it, but we did what we declared many years ago. We've already done this. We're traveling. I haven't spent 4 weeks in the state of Nevada. I live in Nevada. I haven't spent 4 weeks in the state. I'm constantly traveling. I was just in the Philippines in the last 14 days. I'm about to go to Dallas. I'm living the dream that I imagined, and it's 100% because of this system. So number one, the system is I have to create monthly recurring revenue, cash flow that comes in every single month, meaning I sell something one time and they pay every single month, similar to a cell phone bill. Back when I sold cell phones, I only got paid on the cell phone. I never got paid on the subscription. But the reason T-Mobile is a multi-million, if not billion-dollar company is because they have millions of people paying monthly. So for you to start creating freedom in your business, you got to have that monthly recurring revenue. So that's number one. You got to have a business model and a system that creates monthly recurring revenue. Number two is to sell it. Instead of doing one-on-one presentations, you can get in front of group presentations and present your solution, your tool, your idea, your product in front of a large group of people. And what you're doing every time is you're acquiring customers. So for example, I host 12 webinars, main webinar. I have many others today, but however, I started off with 12 webinars a year, one every single month. And if every month, let's say that I sell out of all the members, I sell 9 people on my product that creates subscriptions, and I do that for 12 months, that's going to be 96 people at the end of the year, right? You tracking with me? Yeah. So if I do one presentation every single month for 12 months, and every presentation I get 9 people to buy my subscription product, my coaching program, or my software that's monthly, or my service that's monthly. If I get 9 every single presentation every month, at the end of a 12-month time frame, I'll have 96 people paying me monthly. Mm-hmm. If I have 96 people, for example, paying me, let's say on the low end, $199 a month, that's me making $19,000 every single month because those 96 people were already acquired. I got them into my product or my service. If I have 96 people paying me $399 a month, that's a total of $38,000 coming in every single month inside of my business. That's a different mindset than selling something that people pay for one time. It's a different mindset than, like, for example, I used to sell sneakers when I was really young. I'm talking about high school days. I sold a sneaker, $160. I make $160. Now I got to go hustle to find my next $160.
Yeah.
The pathway to freedom is 2 things. Number 1, create monthly recurring revenue. Number 2, have a process to get as many people to see your presentation one time, so that way you're not working all day, and you just present one time to everyone, give them all an opportunity to buy, and then just focus on getting more people in for next month.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now, my one question is retention. Like, it's nice to get them in for the one time, but what's the, what do they call it? Like, the retention, how can you get them to stay with you?
So there's so many, when someone buys anything of subscription, you want to identify one point of value.
Yeah.
But let's look at it this way. Most people have a cell phone. How does your cell phone company retain? They make sure that their product is working, right? And it actually adds value to the end user. So when someone thinks about their cell phone bill, when's the next time? When do you plan on canceling your cell phone bill? When do you say, I'm never going to have a cell phone, I'm canceling this bill? Never, right? So that's what's happening to small businesses when you sell them the product that is their core software, where it's the nucleus. They're never going to cancel, which is why this product is so sticky. When I say sticky, it means that they're going to stay long term. That is one of the things that you're going to need tremendous amount of retention on is products that like online courses, things of that nature. It's things that people want, but they don't need. But when it comes to a cell phone, as soon as Verizon sells you a cell phone or AT&T sells you a cell phone and they give you that offer to come in and you're walking in with your free phone, you're going to stay with them for the next few years.
Yeah.
You're going to keep that phone number for the next few years. Most people keep the same phone number. It's rare that they get a new number time to time. So the value for this tool in a business is going to be like, hey, I'm forever with you.
Yeah. No, I love that. We'll put the links in the description below, but this was amazing. So do you have any last words for someone who wants to get started and maybe a little like hesitant or saying like, I don't know if this is for me or something like that? Any last words?
Take advantage of an opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. Each opportunity has a window. And right now, the sooner you start building a subscription business, the sooner you create monthly recurring revenue, the sooner you create consistent cash flow, the closer you are to freedom. If you are currently in a stage where you have to work for your money, you have to spend hours for your money, then you're constantly tied to the clock. That's number one. Or if you have to sell a product time and time and time again, you're going to be constantly tied to that product. The way to create freedom is by having a product or a service or a product or a service that creates cash flow every single month. You sell it one time and you get paid every single month, ideally for the next few years. And if you do that every single month, you're just stacking on new subscribers. That's how you're going to create freedom over time.
I love this. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I mean, I am completely just blown away. I think this is amazing. So we're going to put the links in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.